Amongst 100 men, there may be none fit for the Adeptus Astartes. Amongst 100 Space Marines, there may be one fit for the Deathwatch. The Deathwatch, also called the Long Vigil or Long Watch, is the elite Chamber Militant of the Inquisition's Ordo Xenos, comprised solely of veteran Space Marines from various chapters. These hand-picked alien hunters stand sentinel against every Xenos threat to humanity, from marauding Orks and voracious Tyranids to the undying Necrons and beyond. When the Inquisition needs firepower and skill beyond even the Imperial Guard or their own agents, it calls upon the Deathwatch, the first and often only line of defense against inhuman horrors. The true founding of the Deathwatch is shrouded in myth and conflicting accounts, but current canon places its inception during the time of rebirth, in mid-M32. In 544 M32, the Imperium faced the War of the Beast, an apocalyptic Ork invasion led by a warlord known as the Beast that even threatened terror itself. Amid this crisis, the last living Imperial Fist and functioning Lord Commander of the Imperium, Courland, proposed a radical solution: deploy small teams of veteran Astartes to strike at the invaders' vital targets, decapitating the Xenos' leadership and disrupting their forces. Though the High Lords were hesitant, desperation won out and the plan was approved. Veterans from many shattered Space Marine chapters, survivors of a failed assault on Ulanor, the Ork capital world, were assembled into an elite force, sowing the seeds of what would become the Deathwatch. Courland brokered an agreement with Inquisitor Lord Wienand. This new force of alien hunters would serve under the purview of the Inquisition's Ordo Xenos, while being led by Astartes officers. In the aftermath of the Beast's defeat, the Imperium reorganized the Inquisition into separate branches, notably the Ordo Xenos to combat aliens, and formally founded the Deathwatch as its dedicated Space Marine chapter. From that point, the Deathwatch has served as the Ordo Xenos' blade, much as the Grey Knights serve the Ordo Malleus against demonic threats. Some conflicting legends claim the Deathwatch began differently. In one account, an apocryphal conclave of Ordo Xenos Inquisitor Lords on Orphite IV gathered at an unspecified time long ago and foresaw a future where countless alien races would overwhelm mankind. In this tale, they petitioned the assembled chapter masters of the Adeptus Astartes to pledge warriors to a new, permanent vigil against the Xenos. The oath that emerged created a chapter of veteran alien hunters dubbed Deathwatch, sworn to stand guard against the galaxy's coming doom. Regardless of which origin one cites, all sources agree that since the 32nd millennium, the Deathwatch has maintained an unbroken vigil, protecting the Imperium from alien horrors in secret and in sacrifice. The oaths sworn between the Inquisition and Space Marines in those ancient days still bind the Deathwatch to its sacred mission. The Deathwatch's mandate is singular and dire. Suffer not the alien to live. They are tasked with the identification, study, and if necessary, the eradication of any intelligent alien species that threatens humanity. Acting as the Ordo Xenos' military arm, they undertake missions ranging from exterminating Xenos infestations and raiding alien strongholds to capturing exotic artifacts for study. In some cases, Deathwatch kill teams observe or even employ Xenos technology under careful sanction. Though such measures are never taken lightly, they remain ever vigilant for signs of emerging threats, ready to deploy at a moment's notice when Inquisitors sound the alarm of a Xenos outbreak or invasion. As the Chamber Militant of Ordo Xenos, the Deathwatch works closely with Inquisitors, yet operates as an autonomous brotherhood bound by their own ancient protocols. Neither the Inquisition nor the Space Marines hold absolute authority over the other in this partnership. Instead, both act in concert toward the shared goal of defending mankind from the alien in accordance with oaths sworn long ago. Unlike a typical chapter that wages open war, the Deathwatch functions as a precision instrument. Its forces are divided into kill teams, small squads of highly specialized veterans equipped to deal with specific foes. Stealth, subterfuge, and surgical strikes are preferred over brute force. A single kill team might infiltrate an alien-infested space hulk to eliminate a gene-stealer patriarch before its cult can overrun a world, or assassinate an Ork war boss to throw an invasion into disarray. If an alien threat proves especially dire, multiple kill teams can be grouped for a larger operation. But if even the Deathwatch's elite teams cannot contain the foe, then the Ordo Xenos will call upon full Space Marine chapters or whole Imperial Guard regiments as a last resort. In this way, the Deathwatch serves as the scalpel to the Imperium's hammer, dealing with embryonic Xenos threats before they grow into galaxy-wide wars. Throughout history, Deathwatch kill teams have achieved legendary feats. They have stymied countless alien invasions and cleansed entire space hulks of their monstrous cargo. Some tactics developed by the Deathwatch are so effective that they spread to every watch fortress. For example, Squad Viridium's methods of bombarding tightly packed Ork hordes, first used in the 32nd millennium against the Beast's armies, became codified as Furor tactics, still employed to butcher Orks en masse to this day. Another stratagem, Venator tactics, was pioneered against the swift raiders of the Drukhari. A White Scars veteran led his kill team on bike-mounted running battles to draw out the Xenos, then ambush them in a storm of precision fire. This approach proved invaluable against any fast-moving enemy, be it Eldar, Ork speed cults or others, and remains in use as well. Such examples illustrate how the Deathwatch adapts its methods to counter each unique foe. Every mission, successful or not, hones the Long Vigil's knowledge, allowing future kill teams to strike even more effectively. So how are members of the Deathwatch recruited? All Space Marine chapters are bound by ancient oath to provide warriors to the Deathwatch when called. Serving in the Deathwatch, the Long Vigil, is seen as one of the highest honors a Space Marine can attain. Only those battle brothers with exceptional skill in slaying Xenos are considered. Typically, a company captain will notice a veteran Marine who has repeatedly distinguished himself against alien foes. The company's chaplain and apothecary vouch for his character and gene stock, and with the chapter master's approval, that warrior's fate is sealed. He may not be called immediately, sometimes years pass before the summons, but eventually an inquisitorial request arrives, and the Space Marine embarks on a new journey as a Deathwatch recruit. Most chapters bid their Deathwatch volunteers farewell with solemn ceremony. For example, the Ultramarines assemble brothers to salute the departing hero as he boards a black Thunderhawk bound for his watch fortress, while the secretive Dark Angels send their candidate off under strict oath of silence regarding his chapter's mysteries. In every case, it is understood that this warrior may never return. He goes to fight at the very frontiers of terror, where countless battle brothers of the Long Vigil have met their end. In recognition of this duty, the Initiate's power armor is repainted jet black before or upon arrival, marking his new allegiance. Only the right shoulder plate is left in the colors and icon of his home chapter, as a mark of honor to his origins and to avoid offending the machine spirit of his armor. The rest of his left arm and pauldron are electroplated silver, bearing the Deathwatch's symbol, an inquisitorial eye icon gripped by a skull, which signifies his oath to the Watch. This silver arm and shoulder remain with him forever after, even should he survive to return to his chapter, a lasting badge of the vigil he undertook. Upon joining a Watch Fortress garrison, all prior ranks are set aside. Veterans who may have been captains, chaplains, or sergeants in their former chapters now fight side by side, simply as Deathwatch brethren. Each new recruit undergoes rigorous indoctrination and training specific to the myriad Xenos threats catalogued by the Ordo Xenos. Through hypno-conditioning and intensive study, a Deathwatch Marine is imprinted with knowledge of thousands of alien species, their weak points, tactics, and vile technologies, so that even if he encounters a Xenos he's never seen before, he will instinctively know how best to destroy it. Only once this harsh training is complete is the battle brother assigned to a kill team, the fundamental unit of Deathwatch operations. A kill team is typically composed of Space Marines from a variety of chapters, each bringing unique skills and perspectives. Such diversity can initially cause rivalry. The proud Space Wolves and aloof Dark Angels, for instance, might clash due to ancient grudges. However, these very differences, when tempered in battle, forge the kill team into something stronger than the sum of its parts. With a common purpose and the crucible of combat, a Deathwatch squad develops bonds of brotherhood that transcend old loyalties. By fighting shoulder to shoulder against nightmarish foes, they come to respect one another's methods, whether it's a Raven Guard's stealth or a Salamander's compassion for the innocent. In time, a well-honed kill team moves with unified purpose, a perfect instrument of the Emperor's wrath, folded and tempered like the finest blade. Structurally, the Deathwatch does not operate as a conventional chapter. There is no single chapter master. Instead, authority is decentralized across many watch fortresses and their commanders. Each watch fortress, such as the famed watch fortress Eriok in the Jericho Reach, is led by a watch commander or watchmaster who acts as that fortress's master of the vigil. The title of Deathwatch Watchmaster exists and is equivalent to a chapter master, but if an overall leader of the Deathwatch exists, his identity remains unknown. In practice, each watch fortress is largely autonomous, coordinating with others only as needed. The Deathwatch also maintains numerous smaller watch stations scattered across the galaxy, hidden outposts on remote worlds, moons, or void platforms, which serve as early warning sites and armories in areas of Xenos activity. A lone watch station might be manned by a single battle brother in Vigil, or even automated, monitoring for alien incursions until a kill team can respond. Within a watch fortress, Deathwatch Marines are organized into up to 5 watch companies, though these are administrative groupings rather than fixed battle formations. A Deathwatch company is much smaller than a Codex chapter company and can include a fluid number of kill teams. The designation of companies is often indicated by markings on the armor. For example, a red stripe on the knee pad denoting the watch company, with its direction or numeral identifying which of the 5 companies. But in the field, companies rarely fight as whole units. The kill team is the prime operational element. Kill teams can even be reconfigured between missions as situation demands. Many Deathwatch veterans wear additional insignia or honor markings to denote specialties. For instance, some may bear the title of Deathwatch Champion, Apothecary, or Librarian, holding roles analogous to those in a normal chapter, but adapted to the Deathwatch's unique needs. Notably, among the Deathwatch exist the mysterious Black Shields, Space Marines who serve with their chapter origin erased. These individuals paint over their chapter badge, leaving their right shoulder pad pitch black with no icon. By ancient tradition, a Marine whose chapter has been lost, dishonored, or who seeks redemption may present himself to a watch commander as a Black Shield. He will not be asked his name, chapter, or past. All that matters is his willingness to take the fight to the enemy for the duration of his vigil. If accepted, a Black Shield fights with the same zeal as any Deathwatch brother, distinguished only by the blank pauldron where his former heraldry once was. Even in the Deathwatch, Black Shields are an ill omen, silent figures often driven by a desperation or shame they will never speak of. Some may be the last survivors of destroyed chapters, others perhaps repentant traitors seeking atonement in slaughtering Xenos. Whatever their story, they take it to the grave, known only for their deeds in service to the Long Watch. Operating far from the limelight of Imperial glory, Deathwatch kill teams undertake missions so perilous and specialized that often only they can succeed. Deploying from fast Onyx-hulled strike cruisers based at their watch fortresses, they arrive suddenly and without fanfare. A Deathwatch vessel will translate out of warp at the edge of a threatened system, insert its kill team via drop pod, gunship, or teleportarium, and vanish again once the mission is done. These precision strikes are like stilettos in the dark, silent and swift until the time comes to stab at the heart of a Xenos empire. Should even one Deathwatch team fail or arrive too late, entire worlds, even sectors, could be overrun before the Imperium realizes the danger. The pressure on these Space Marines is immense. They are often all that stands between an emerging alien threat and countless human lives. Each kill team's composition and tactics are tailored to its target. In some cases, teams adopt established patterns known as kill team doctrines, optimized through centuries of experience. For example, a kill team might be designated an Aquila team when facing unknown or variable threats, a generalist squad combining a breadth of skills and weaponry to adapt to any situation. In contrast, a Führer team may load up on heavy firepower and area of effect weapons when purging massed Orks, exemplifying the approach of explosive saturation used by Squad Viridium long ago. A Venator team might include bike-mounted or fast assault elements to chase down swift enemies like the Drukhari or hit-and-run raiders. Malleus teams favor thunderhammers, heavy weapons, and Terminator armor to slay giant Tyranid biobeasts or crush heavily armored targets. And Pagatus teams concentrate psychic support and precise fire to behead the leadership of an alien force. For instance, sniping Eldar farces or decapitating a Tyranid synapse creature to throw the swarm into disarray. These are just a few of the tactical doctrines in the Deathwatch arsenal, each one a hard-earned solution to a particular Xenos menace, codified through hard experience. The annals of the Deathwatch are filled with heroic operations that exemplify their role. One example of this is the Recruitment Gambit. As Hive Fleet Leviathan ravaged the galaxy, Ordo Xenos Inquisitor Fidus Recruitment took extreme measures to slow the Tyranids. Excommunicated for ordering the purging of dozens of Imperial worlds to deny the Tyranids biomass, Recruitment nevertheless had allies in the Deathwatch. A kill team under his direction captured a brood of gene stealers in stasis and released them into the Ork Empire of Octarius. The plan worked. The gene stealers drew the Tyranid Hive Fleet toward the rich Ork-held territory, igniting a brutal war between the Xenos. The Tyranids became bogged down fighting the Orks, buying the Imperium precious time to regroup as two alien horrors tore each other apart. It was an outrageous ploy only an Inquisitor and Deathwatch kill team could conceive and execute, one that likely saved countless human worlds, albeit at terrible cost. To this day, the sealed records of Watch Fortress Eriok hold the full account of the Recruitment Gambit and the ongoing Ork-Tyranid conflict it spawned, now known as the Octarius War. Another example is the purging of Gosar Quintus. Ultramarines chaplain Orton Cassius, a famed Tyranid hunter, led an unofficial Deathwatch kill team to the mining world of Gosar Quintus. There, they discovered a gene stealer cult, the cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, that had spread across the entire subsector under Imperial noses. Cassius's team, later known as Kill Team Cassius, battled the cultists through the depths of the world, ultimately managing to slay the gene stealer patriarch and collapse the cult's main lair. This bold action, though taken without prior sanction, exposed the far-reaching gene stealer threat and prompted the Deathwatch to intensify its hunts for cult infestations lurking within human populations. Kill Team Cassius would go on to feature in further pivotal battles against Hive Fleet Behemoth, its members becoming some of the most renowned alien slayers of the 41st millennium. Such accounts, whether officially recorded or kept secret, underscore the Deathwatch's ethos. A handful of Space Marines performing impossible deeds to shield the Imperium from calamity. They fight knowing that failure means extinction for whole worlds. It is this knowledge that steels every Deathwatch warrior's resolve. Each kill team carries the weight of entire sectors on their shoulders, and time and again they have proven capable of bearing it. The Deathwatch is equipped with some of the finest and most specialized wargear in the Imperium, tools carefully honed for Xenos slaying. Every Watch Fortress armory is a treasure trove of master-crafted weapons, secret prototypes, and even alien relics gathered over centuries. Unlike in other Imperial forces, Technological innovation is not forbidden in the Deathwatch. Necessity has taught them to modify and experiment in ways the orthodox mechanicus would deem heretical. Deathwatch tech marines tinker with experimental munitions and archaeotech, and even adapt xenotech devices for use by their brethren. Their philosophy is simple. The Emperor's work must be done by any weapon available. If a captured Eldar prism crystal or a Necron phase blade can be turned against its former owners, the Deathwatch will not hesitate to do so, after ensuring it is properly sanctified, of course. Foremost among the Deathwatch's arsenal is the venerable bolter, but loaded with bespoke special issue ammunition far beyond the standard Astartes rounds. Each type of ammunition is engineered to annihilate a particular kind of target with maximum efficiency. Hellfire rounds, for example, replace the bolter's mass-reactive core with a vial of deadly mutagenic acid that can reduce the toughest Tyranid bioforms to slurry in seconds. Kraken penetrator rounds use super-dense cores and improved propellants to punch through the armored hides of Ork warbosses or the carapace of a hive tyrant. Metal storm frag shells detonate just before impact, spraying a wide area with shrapnel, ideal for scything down swarms of smaller aliens. Dragonfire bolts burn with alchemical fury, lapping around cover to immolate elusive foes, perfect for flushing out those skulking in the shadows. In Deathwatch hands, even the humble bolt gun becomes a tailor-made alien killer. Not a single bolt's potential is wasted, be it filled with bioacid, volatile promethium, or superheated plasma. It will be selected and aimed to do the maximum possible damage to its target. This exacting approach extends to all their weapons, from shotguns loaded with toxin-laced scatter shells for Tyranid infestations, to inferno pistols carried for close encounters with flammable chitinous horrors. In addition to specialized ammo, the Deathwatch fields unique wargear rarely seen elsewhere. The Corvus Blackstar, a strikefighter/dropship unique to the Deathwatch, is one such example. This versatile aircraft serves as a dropship to insert kill teams into the heart of battle, and as a gunship bristling with weapons to provide air support. It is built with stealth technologies and advanced Auspex arrays, allowing a Blackstar to slip into enemy territory under sensor cover, then suddenly strike with its missiles, assault cannons, and hurricane bolters. Many a beleaguered Imperial outpost has looked to the skies in its final hour to see a Blackstar screaming down, the silver aquila and black cross of the Deathwatch on its wings, bringing salvation in its hold. Likewise, the Deathwatch maintain specialized marks of power armor and equipment. Mark 8 errant armor with its improved neck shielding is common among Long Vigil veterans, as are custom-modified marks of older armor scavenged from a dozen chapters. It's not unusual to see a Deathwatch brother wearing a Mark 4 Maximus helm, prized for its sophisticated autosensors, atop a Mark 7 Aquila cuirass, with a Mark 6 Corvus pattern greave, each piece a trophy from the armories of his original chapter, or gifts from allies. All are repainted black and silver, and often further enhanced by Deathwatch artificers. For heavy support, the Deathwatch can call on assets like dreadnoughts, though these are rarer than in other chapters. The nature of Deathwatch missions, often covert and far-flung, means a mortally wounded Marine cannot always be recovered in time to intern him in a dreadnought's sarcophagus. Nonetheless, it does occur. A Deathwatch dreadnought, sometimes humorously dubbed an old one by the brethren, is a fearsome sight, filled with the knowledge of countless Xenos campaigns and armed with everything from heavy flamers to assault cannons. If a hero is interred into a dreadnought and chooses to remain with the Deathwatch rather than be returned to his chapter, he in effect swears the Long Vigil for eternity. These ancient warriors slumber in hidden vaults until needed, at which point the Watch Fortress Tech Marines awaken them to join battle once more. Starting in the era Indomitus, the Deathwatch has been bolstered by the influx of Primaris Space Marines. When Guilliman launched the Indomitus Crusade, he dispatched entire new Primaris Marines to reinforce not only existing chapters, but also the Deathwatch itself. The Watch Fortresses received companies of Primaris Marines, fresh from Karl's laboratories and the crucible of the Crusade, clad in black and silver and eager to prove themselves. The Deathwatch command adapted quickly, devising new Primaris kill team configurations to take advantage of these warriors' advanced armor and abilities. For instance, Fortis kill teams consist entirely of Primaris Marines, intercessors, hellblasters, etc., providing superior range and firepower. Other mixed teams like Indomitus squads blend Gravis-armored heavy intercessors with close assault specialists to hunt big game such as Ork war machines or Tyranid monsters. The Primaris have integrated well, though not without some initial distrust from firstborn veterans. There are tales of veteran watch captains deliberately testing Primaris squads with menial or sacrificial tasks to see if they were worthy, and the Primaris proving themselves in fire and blood, earning honor names such as Orksbane after hewing down hordes of greenskins in battle. Now, Primaris and Firstborn fight alongside each other, and many watch fortresses include Primaris lieutenants, captains, even a few watchmasters among their ranks. The addition of grav tanks, bolt rifles, and other Primaris wargear has only expanded the Deathwatch's formidable toolkit for Xenos extermination. The opening of the Great Rift and the dawn of the era Indomitus have greatly tested the Deathwatch. Never in human history have so many Xenos threats assailed the Imperium simultaneously. As the galaxy is rent in half by warp storms and the Imperial Navy struggles to respond on multiple fronts, myriad alien races seize the opportunity to strike. Ancient enemies that the Deathwatch long held at bay are emerging in force. Entire Necron dynasties awaken from eons of slumber, their legions seeking to reclaim the stars. Ork warlords unite under the banner of Gazk'kul Thraka, in numbers not seen since the Beast, threatening to drown whole subsectors in green-skinned fury. The Eldari craftworlds, desperate to avert their prophesied doom, launch bold preemptive offensives against Imperial targets, while their dark kin, the Drukhari, raid real space in unchecked numbers to harvest slaves amid the chaos. On the eastern fringe, the young Tau Empire presses its expansion, fielding advanced weapons and attempting to subsume vulnerable Imperial systems into their greater good. Worst of all, Tyranid hive fleets continue to assault from without and within. Hive Fleet Leviathan, in particular, surprised the Imperium by invading from below the galactic plane, outflanking traditional defenses and striking worlds deep in the galactic west. In the Indomitus era, splinter fleets of Leviathan threaten Holy Terror itself from the south, even as other hive fleets like Hydra, Kronos, and Tiamat adapt and evolve new horrors. Against this nightmare backdrop, the Deathwatch fights an almost overwhelming battle on countless fronts. Watch fortresses that once monitored a handful of local Xenos perils now find themselves responding to sector-wide emergencies. The shield of the Deathwatch has been shaken, even brought to the edge of destruction in places, by the sheer scale of the Xenos resurgence. Yet the Long Vigil does not falter. Instead, the Deathwatch has raised the shield anew. Ancient pacts are invoked to call in fresh reinforcements from chapters across the Imperium. Since Guilliman's Ultimaris decree, veteran Space Marines newly elevated to Primaris status have streamed into the Deathwatch wherever interstellar travel remains possible, replacing losses and strengthening kill teams with their enhanced abilities. Watchmasters coordinate through astropathic communion, directing mobile kill teams to hotspots as needed. In regions isolated by the Great Rift, such as Imperium Nihilus, some watch stations have gone dark, cut off by the warp storms, yet even there, the Deathwatch are presumed to continue their duties alone until the Emperor's light reconnects them. In this era, the Deathwatch's presence has become slightly less secretive out of necessity. There are reports of entire companies of Deathwatch Marines making lightning strikes alongside other Imperial forces during the Indomitus Crusade, their distinctive black and silver figures shoring up defenses on worlds beset by Xenos invasions. To bolster morale, some Imperial commanders publicized the arrival of Deathwatch reinforcements, the the symbolism of the Emperor's greatest xenos hunters arriving in humanity's darkest hour, can spur beleaguered PDF and militia forces to renewed courage. Still, the Deathwatch primarily operates in the shadows as it always has, preferring that the enemy never sees them coming until it's too late. Through it all, the core ethos of the Deathwatch remains unchanged. Every Deathwatch Space Marine knows he stands as a sentinel against the alien, fulfilling the vow that no matter how thin the line, mankind shall not face the Xenos alone. Each battle brother is prepared to give his life 100 times over to uphold that oath. When a Deathwatch kill team deploys, they carry with them not just bolters and blades, but the weight of millennia of honor, the unbroken chain of heroism stretching back to the first Long Vigil in M32. They fight, knowing that if they fail, the horrors waiting in the dark will wash over the Imperium unchecked. It is this solemn understanding that hardens their resolve, even in the face of impossible odds. So here's to the unsung heroes in Midnight Black. The next time your world doesn't get eaten by Tyranids or conquered by Orks, you might have the Deathwatch to thank. If you enjoyed this extensive look into the lore of Warhammer 40k and the heroic sacrifices of the Deathwatch, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. We have many more deep dives and stories from the grim dark future to explore together. Your support helps us bring you more content on the lore and legends of Warhammer. Thank you for watching, and always remember, the Emperor protects.